welcome back to my channel. So finally we are back in San Jose, California, and today I'm with Shanvi.
Hi.
So it's continuation of real truths about MS in US. So I'm gonna be speaking to Shanvi today, and we'll go through her journey, what made her come to US, how did she decide on SJSU, and how her experience has been so far. So I hope you guys like this vlog, and let's get started. So alright, so Shanvi, why don't you start with your introduction?
So hello everyone, I am Shanvi and I'm doing my Masters in Human Factors Ergonomics at SJSU. I am currently in my second year, about to graduate very soon. Yeah, that's about me, and my career goal is to be a UX designer.
That's a great introduction. So Shanvi did her bachelor's from India in computer science, and then she directly came to US for her master's in human factor ergonomics. Yes, that's what it's called in SJSU. So Shanvi, tell us about your bachelor's first. Like, you did your bachelor's in CS, right?
Yes.
So how was that experience, and when did you realize that you wanna try this new field, UX and design, switching from CS? So transition kaise hua? Talk about that.
Sure. So I actually did my bachelor's from Manipal Institute of Technology, and I studied computer and communication engineering. That was actually, I enjoyed it, but personally I don't like programming. So I was always looking for a way to step out of that, right? To step out of a role that I would just have to code in all day online, because I don't think I can sit in front of a computer and code forever. So I then, I went for an international internship to Egypt in my second year, and that internship was web dev. But
Oh, it was web dev.
yes, it was a web dev internship,
Okay.
but it was with a company that was doing more design focused work at the time. They were a consultancy, so they did both design and research. And development. But so yeah, when I reached there, they were like, "Do you know Photoshop?" I said, "No, I don't know Photoshop." And then so they were like, "Okay." They thought maybe I will learn over time, but they gave me some research work to do.
Okay.
And that was majorly going around taking interviews, because what I was working on was a course website. So they were building a website for this company that had online courses. So I would say the audience was very relevant to my age group and people I knew, and so they just went to and they told me to go and ask certain questions to these students, and I didn't even know what I was doing at the time. I was just doing things because the company told me. So yeah, that's basically user research, and I didn't even know I was doing it, but I was doing it and I loved it. So that's how I got into UX. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So, if you're also doing your bachelor's in CS and but don't like coding and you wanna switch your field, then getting into design is a great option. There's another option like product management. So yeah, I wanna ask this question to you. Why didn't you think about product management? It's almost similar to design, right? Like, there's a good amount of overlap between these two fields.
Yeah.
So did you consider product management, or your first thing was design only? You didn't consider it.
I think for me, I've always liked creativity, because even in my school projects, like, I would do some crazy 3D stuff because my friend circle would be doing that, right? So I got into that, and then I would say during engineering, that was a little restricted, because when you're doing engineering, you can't be very creative in many things. So design was just one way for me to express myself, and yeah, I really like doing that. I also consider project management. It's just that I felt like I would be a better designer, and maybe over time I will learn some management skills doing what I do. So yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Okay, so before moving on to how you decided about SJSU and how was your entire university search and course search experience, I wanna ask you this: so is there any benefit of first doing your bachelor's in CS and then going for design, if you know before that you wanna go for design, or are there any particular bachelor design courses that people can opt for?
I think so. To answer the first part of your question, is it beneficial to go after engineering? I would say it is, because I have experienced that having a background in engineering, some of the people I know don't have that, and so it's often difficult for them to design things because they don't know whether it is feasible technically to code it. So as a designer, having that knowledge is very helpful because now I know like what are the restraints and what are the constraints on my designs, right? The other thing is I would suggest it's not mandatory to do engineering and then go for UX. I would say if that's something you want to get into, because I didn't know initially when I was 17, I didn't know I wanted to do that. But if you know, I think it's great if you can go directly for UX design because those constraints will be there but you can always overcome those, right, with more experience and more practice.
Right.
So if you once you learn how to design well, that will come to you naturally because your designs will be more intuitive and it will be more I would say you would know already because you would try to design the simplest experiences possible. And so when you make things simpler, you make everything simpler, right? You make the development simpler, you make design simpler. Research is backing your design, so I would say that's not really a requirement.
Okay, so +1 to what Chanvi said, if you're doing your bachelor's in CS, I think it's great. I think you should do your bachelor's in CS even if you want to go for design or say product management, because like Chanvi said, doing your bachelor's in engineering first and then that too in CS gives you good amount of that fundamental grip that will help you in your career if you are having your career in design, product management, that solid understanding of how things work and hands-on technical knowledge. I think that really comes handy. So if you plan to pursue design, you can go for bachelor's in CS or you can directly go for design related courses in your bachelor's. Alright, so Shanvi, let's talk about so when you decided that you want to go for masters and you want to do a masters in a field which is related to design, how did you shortlist universities? Because I'm guessing maybe right now the information is there on the internet about design and stuff, but I think 3 years back that was not the case. So how did you navigate that phase of shortlisting universities and how did you finally decide SJSU?
So actually I looked through a lot of resources online. Firstly, I was talking to you before, right? I knew there was something called UX. I didn't even know the degree name would be HCI or Human Factors. So that took, I would say, some months to figure out what exactly I want to do, which would fulfill my requirements, would fulfill the requirements to get a job. So that took I think 2 months, and then so all of this was happening during COVID, so I had a lot of time to think about things, right? So it's because during COVID we were doing nothing, we were just at home, so I had the time to browse. And then I went online and there's a website called Top UX Schools. It was actually updated in 2021, so I had the most updated version, but now the problem is nobody has updated that website in 2 years. So but that website basically gave you a list of all the top schools in UX in the US, yes. And it had a long, it's a proper list, so it tells you about the year the program started, the fees and things like that. So yeah, I basically was aiming to apply to, I didn't have any restriction on where to apply in the US, so I applied to schools all across the country. I think I applied to some 10 schools. And yeah,
and all of them were HCI programs?
Mostly, yes. Actually the name of this program is different in different schools. So in SJSU we have Human Factors. Some schools also have Human Factors programs, but it's not as popular because these days HCI has taken over. So there are lots of HCI programs. Some of them are also interaction design, visual design, design and innovation. It's all it's so random that you
same work but different names,
exactly.
Right?
And I would say the learning is pretty much the same. It's just that some have more focus on design, some have more focus on research. So you just have to, I think, understand, do research on what you really want to do. And once you're done with that, you can, at least go to top UX schools, look for the top UX schools, and then read each school's program, see if if you're interested, if you wanna apply. So yeah, it's just do some research, I would say. Like the entire process of application for grad school is so research based. Like you cannot just think, someone's gonna come and tell you like apply to these schools, because even if they do tell you, it won't be specific to your needs, and so then there's no point, right?
Right. And also, guys, MS in HCI and MS in design, जो भी related courses है, all these courses are STEM courses, which means that you get 3 years of OPD extension. Because but लोगों को लगता है कि इंजीनियरिंग कोर्सेज का ही होता है एंड डिज़ाइन सुन के लोगों को लगेगा इंजीनियरिंग नहीं है. तो just to keep in mind, all these courses are STEM courses and you get 3 years of OPD extension.
Actually, some courses are not.
Okay, some are not.
Yeah, some are not.
If they're not offered by engineering schools.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, if they are not an MS program, then if they're like an MA program or a M Tech or M Des, I think that those would not be, mostly would not be. But I would say like it's always helpful to either look up for yourself, or you can also email the university department asking like, is this STEM approved?
Okay.
Because if it's not, then it's really difficult for international students, like you said, right?
But SJSU is,
Yes.
and SJSU is the best. Okay, now coming to SJSU, how your experience has been here?
Experience has been really good. I have had amazing professors. Almost every class that I've been to, I've learned something new. And I think I really like that. Sitting in a class where you're really enjoying what you're learning is also, I would say, a privilege that not a lot of people have, and I'm grateful for that. So yeah, it's been great. All the professors teach very practical stuff. Whatever you're learning is something you can directly apply in the industry. It's very applicable. So yeah, I've had a good time, and yeah.
Tell us about 3 favorite courses that you have taken till now. Top 3.
It has to be a course on, the course is called Human Factors Ergonomics Seminar, I think. But the course basically, I think, taught us close to 100 design principles over the semester, and we learned them, we learned heuristics. So we did a whole heuristic evaluation in that class, and it taught us. So yeah, I think I've had the most learning in that class in my entire master's, because even now, like when I remember some principles, they have to be from that class, because I mean 100 plus is too much, right? So I would say that is one of my favorite classes. It's taken by Dr. Andre at SJSU. The other 2 classes I really liked were taken by Professor Rosenberg.
Okay.
He is also one of, so the classes were Interaction Design 1 and Interaction Design 2. I really enjoyed like learning about the methods that he teaches on how you can make a design and the information architecture of a website really robust to a point where it will not break, no matter how many functionalities you keep adding.
Okay.
It will somewhere fit in.
Scalable design.
It's a very scalable design.
Nice.
So yeah, I really liked these 2 classes.
Perfect. Okay, now coming to most interesting part of the vlog. What is the job scenario? Like, जो लोग MS करने आते हैं and उनके लिए job is like one of the utmost priority. So what are the roles that you can get into after doing your MS in HCI and other design related courses? Can you tell us about the titles that people can target?
Sure. So there are various titles, and I would say like these days there are more than ever. So the first one and the most obvious one is of course UX designer, and then there is UX researcher. So you do research, and then in the design you do designer work. Now there are titles like product designer, interaction designer, visual designer. So it's just all over the place. The only difference is, I would say mostly they all make you do the same kind of work. The only difference is that visual design would have more focus on making the website visually aesthetic.
Okay.
So it would have more graphic design elements that you need to work on, maybe managing more design systems to, like you said, scale your design across multiple platforms and multiple products. Interaction design is again making sure that the information architecture is robust. So you majorly work on the architecture part of the website and not really. So I would say that is still very similar to UX design because you're still designing the experience of the users, right?
Right.
And yeah, so these are some. And if you're doing human factors, there's also another type of role which is called human factors engineer,
Okay.
which is nothing but someone that does a lot of research on products. So
Okay.
you could, draft usability test plans. You could, yeah, you do research. So you analyze the data that you collect. So yeah, but all of these roles, they work in collaboration with a lot of other roles, right? So
Okay.
as a researcher, you would work with a designer on a daily basis. As a designer, you would work with researcher. In companies that have human factors engineers, they would work with UX researchers and designers. So a lot of times their work also overlaps, and that's why they collaborate and work on things together.
Okay. I have a question here. So, if you're not good in drawing, can you still go for design-related courses?
I would say yes, because UX is not art, it is science. So, because we have like scientific principles that come into picture, and it's not just drawing. Sketching is one part of our work, and we do it a lot because you need to sketch your ideas. But again, those are like buttons and things like that. You don't need to learn how to do art. But of course, you need to have a sense of visual design understanding to a certain extent. Like you can't just think, oh, I will just do the design and however it looks, I don't care. That's not how it works.
Right.
So yeah, I would say art is not necessary, but it's important.
I think that's a lot of solid information and valuable tips. Thank you, Shanvi, for this.
Thank you
And
for
I
inviting me.
think we covered almost everything. So we'll end this vlog with last 2 tips that you wanna give to someone who is not sure about what they wanna pursue, but they have like slight interest in design and stuff. Hi, what's up?
Oh, okay, I'm getting off.
So what do you wanna give them, like future aspirants who are looking to pursue their MS in design? What are 2 things that you wanna tell them before they come?
Alright, so the first thing I would say is that I think as a designer, as a researcher, as an individual in the UX industry, it's very important to have empathy. So try to be more empathetic in your daily life, right? And when you do that, it reflects in your designs. So that is one thing I would say, and the next thing I would say is like research a lot on what you want to do, because at times I know people that ended up in the wrong programs because they didn't research enough, and then they try looking for the courses they want outside. And if you're already paying so much to go here, it's just best to research the most you can, right?
Definitely.
So yeah. That's
Alright,
it.
so Shanvi is in her last semester right now, and she'll be graduating soon, so best wishes to Shanvi.
Thank you. I really need them.
So if you still have any questions, you can reach out to her on LinkedIn. I'll add her LinkedIn link in the description. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and see you in the next vlog. Bye.
Bye.